And I think people can argue that's a pessimistic way to live, is like, don't expect anything from anyone. It's all for me. Like, it's all me. Like, all I got is me at the end of the day. And I go back and forth of like whether that's like a good motto to live by.
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry at the same time. Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I'm one of your hosts, Autumn, like the season. I am a freelance entertainment worker. I have chosen this life, and I don't know why, because I'm constantly unemployed and I have no benefits.
Okay, and I'm Fiji, your other host, like the island, like the water. I work in social media and marketing, and I think my new calling is to be a mob wife.
I'm sorry, what?
A mob wife? It's
What
trending
is that?
on TikTok right now.
Oh, excuse me.
Like
okay.
the mob, like the mafia. You feel me?
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm wearing the fur. Even though it's giving me an allergic reaction, it's fine.
Okay. If you guys are new here, what we do on So Wet, So Dry is we deep dive topics about sex, relationships, identity, all through the lens of pop culture, society, internet trends, and our community's experiences. We post polls for every single episode we put out, so follow us at So Wet, So Dry on Instagram so you can be a part of the conversation.
Yes, join our community of confused pussies. And today we are talking about expectations that you should or shouldn't have in a relationship, starting a relationship. But before we get into that, let's start the episode as we always do, talking about what we're so wet and so dry about in this very moment.
You're going first.
So I'm going to go first. I'm so wet about, honestly, like I said, the mob wife trend that's trending on TikTok. It's like a style, but it's one that I can actually do.
It's a style.
It's a style. It's like a makeup trend, like fur coats, gold jewelry, darker makeup, stuff like that. So I'm into that. Also, I'm just very happy to have a lot of great women in my life. I feel like we've talked about this before, but like you obviously are like number one. And then we have like
y'all heard that?
Yep. We have a group chat of like 14 girls.
I'm in it, bitch.
Super supportive of each other, like lift each other up when we're down, do creative shit together, get together, all of that shit, and it's just so nice. 2024 is about the girls, so.
The one thing about Fiji is she loves bringing bitches together, too, because, like, it sounds corny, but, like, when you asked me to be in it, I was like, that's so nice. Like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
like, she knows that, like, I don't have, like, girls like that out here. Like, I have a few people, but not like a group. And like every bitch just wants a group. And now I feel like, you know, like I know what's going on when I'm not there, whatever. So that's dope, babe. I am so wet because I really want to get back into dancing again. If you guys don't know, fun fact about Autumn here is I did dance growing up competitively and just for like fun for like literally 18, 19 years. Like it was a huge part of my life. And like most, I stopped doing it after college because I was like,
you were dancing at the strip club.
Yeah. And with a strip club, yes. But I'm talking about like more like heels jazz dance. Like that's like my passion. Like it's like those hot girls you see dance videos. I post them on my story.
Yeah.
And it's that type I want to get back into, which is also like stripper-esque. But I want to take classes, but I'm nervous because it's been a minute. So what I did is you can like rent out studios for super cheap. And I'm just going to go by myself and like feel the movement again. Because I feel like it'll be better to just do that than to like get in a class and be like, oh shit. Because like it's been a while. Like even since I was on stage stripping, it's been over a year.
Yeah.
So like I know I can do it. Like I'll go back into it easily. But the first time is always like a little awkward. It's like, wait, do I not have rhythm anymore? Like whatever.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's exciting.
That's so cute. I love that.
Yeah.
You definitely got to take cute little TikToks, please.
I know. That's what my roommate said. She was like, take content. I was like, I'm not ready yet,
that was
my
one of our like low-key goals for like content this year is we want to do more individual content, but I've not been doing a very good job at that.
Right. Because who the fuck has the time?
Like between us, it's enough. Like doing our own shit on top of that. But if you're there, you know, feeling yourself, vibes.
Fuck it up.
Fuck it up. Okay, I'm dry. One, because it's fucking freezing in Atlanta, guys. Like, it was literally 18 degrees here the other day. Right now, it's super cold. I have my balcony doors open because I'm smoking in here. And like I said, I think I'm allergic to this coat. It's real rabbit, but it's vintage. So the rabbit was dead long before I was born. Please don't come for me. Other things I'm dry about is I started a new medication for my like allergy shit. One of them's a nose spray, one of them's a pill. The pill literally feels like I'm off a Xanax. And the nose spray is just like, it stings so bad. Like, it feels way worse than Coke. Like, it's just, and it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. And I have to do it in the morning and at night, so it sucks. I didn't do it today because I didn't want to fuck up my voice recording, guys, you know. But yeah, that sucks. It's cold and new medications.
How much do you have to take the nose spray every day?
Twice. So I have 2 nose sprays, but one of them hasn't come in yet for some reason. But both of them, I need 2 sprays in each nostril in the morning and at night. I'm just like, everything's up my nose. I don't know.
But you're really taking care of yourself, bitch. This is the less fun parts about self-care. But it's like going to the doctor, like when your mom's not like dragging you anymore, like once you turn 18. Why is it so hard? Like, why is it actually so hard? So like, I'm proud of you. Like, you're going to get that shit taken care of. So that's good. I'm dry because kind of like what I said at the beginning, like I just like really chose this like freelance life, and it's like not having job security is like fucking terrifying. But at the same time, I like literally thank God that I'm able to like take breaks, like and not like have a consistent job like indefinitely. You know what I mean? So there's pros and cons, but right now I feel fucking lost. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to be in casting anymore. Like but this happens every single time I end a show. So I just feel like a fucking like tape recorder that just keeps. So I'm like, Autumn, you need to figure it out. Like, this is ridiculous because every time I'm on a show, I'm just living in the moment so hard. I'm like, I don't need to worry about it. And then Friday, he was like, you're rapping today. I was like, sick. Like, you know what I mean?
But when do you have time to even look for something else between this and your job? It's like, it'll be good to have a break. Like, you can go dance. You can kind of, like, get reorganized. Something will come. It always does.
Right. It always does, bitch. It always does. So, as Fiji said, today we are talking about expectations and standards in relationships. Why are high expectations, high standards trending so much right now? Are expectations and standards the same thing? We gonna get into all of it, okay? And first, we're gonna start and just like define standards and expectations, not from like some big article, like literally just tell y'all like what it is to us and like what it is in this society. So Fiji, what are expectations?
Yeah. Okay. So guys, I'm just going to be like transparent with you. First of all, like me and Autumn had a really long week and we didn't completely plan this episode, but
bitches are tired.
We're exhausted. So we have limited research, but I feel like it's good to kind of just have this conversation because it's complex. So,
cause also I'll just like step in real quick. Cause like, we do like to have our episodes like very like planned out with a lot of research, but I do think sometimes we want to incorporate episodes every once in a while where it's just a little bit more chill because I feel like everyone likes listening to different things. So hopefully like some people will like this better than us being like in the NBC News or whatever.
Like I can't deal with any more structure right now. Like between work this week and stuff, I just want to have a conversation.
And I feel like we know a lot about expectations, standards. I mean, you have to if you're dating today in 2023 or 2024, excuse me. So anyways, continue.
Yes, we have a giant library of content that just lives in our brains based off of everything we've consumed. But standards, I think standards are things that you set for yourself that you want, that you will accept or not accept. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's exactly. Standards are like, it's a I statement type of thing. These are your standards and it's stuff that you don't like. It doesn't matter how much you love that person. Like, these are your standards and we want to stick to them.
Right.
The difference with expectations is we think expectations is more with an emphasis on the other person.
Right.
So it's not necessarily about standards, like the expectations. I think it's more just like what you're expecting them to do, even if maybe you didn't explicitly say these are my standards. And the best example is like if you have an expectation that someone's going to text you all day, having standards, someone that texts me all day, like that's not a thing. Like that's not a, you know what I mean? Like that's different. So, and the bottom line is like expectations hurt the most in relationships. But if you have good standards for yourself, like you're safe. You know what I mean? Just don't break them.
Yeah, because like your standard could be that you want consistent and somewhat constant communication. And you might expect someone to text you all day, but if they don't, then they're not meeting your standards and you leave them, and that's your choice. You don't hound them to text you more because they need to meet your expectations. That's unhealthy. Yeah.
Right. And if you were just sticking to your standard, it's like, okay, like there's no getting mad at anyone. Right. And it's like, especially if you didn't say that, like, I really want to communicate a lot, like whatever.
Yeah. Because your standards are usually kind of things that you think through before you get into anything with anyone. Like that's the list. Remember I had done like a list of like fucking 30 things, and it's shit like they need to have a job, which seems like a really fucking basic standard, but I realized that I was getting into relationships with people that like didn't have jobs and it wasn't working out for me. And instead, like in the past I had been like, oh, you know, get a fucking job, but I should just not date people without fucking jobs, you know?
And they blend together because it's like if you are clear with your partner, like these are the standards that I have, like can you meet them? And they say like yes or whatever. It's like then they do become expectations because you guys have had a conversation about these standards, also kind of boundaries. So they do like blend together. But I think like you shouldn't, standards are not even necessarily something that you tell your partner. That's more boundaries. Like standards are like more so, in my opinion, like maybe like personality traits, or like if they do have a job, or like they're going to do this for me. And it's like, you're not going to tell someone like, oh, my standards is like, I want gifts every month. It's like, if they do that, then they meet your standards and you know that they're the one for you. So it's like a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can have like more when you're in a long-term relationship, you set certain expectations, I guess, but it's more like you as a couple setting expectations for yourselves and each other in the relationship together versus you just putting expectations on them without the conversation.
Right. And I do think that like expectations do kind of have a negative connotation where standards don't. And like from like just being on TikTok, like I've just seen like so many creators and also like therapists that like are also creators or whatever that just consistently say like expectations are what hurts the relationship the most. And it does, because like I think about my past relationships, I wasn't sticking to my standards and then they didn't meet expectations and then I was upset. But it's like you really have no one to blame for yourself. Like if you choose to stay with someone that's not meeting your standards and therefore the expectations aren't going to go well, like that's on you, you know?
Exactly. And I think that's why a lot of people end up in situationships, because they don't really know what their standards are, or their like quote unquote expectations. Like you might meet someone and you low-key want to be in a relationship, but this person clearly doesn't, and so now you're in this like situationship type of thing, and they're not really meeting your standards, but you're also not really like getting in tune with yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point, because everyone's always like manifest your dream partner, like write down your standards and what you want. But I feel like I've never really sat with myself and like thought about like what I want.
Yeah.
It's more just like I meet these people, and again, my type is all over the place, all these different walks of life. And I'm just like, oh, like I like that. And then like I think about my past, I think about things I liked and then I didn't like. But I need to like sit down and like write down all the things that I did like.
Yeah.
Because I think when you're not like clear with yourself about what your standards are, there's no way you're going to end up with someone that meets them, because you don't even know.
Right.
So it's like, that's why I feel like my expectations are constantly let down. Like either someone's being too much or they're not doing enough. Like it goes both ways. Like,
right. And it's about being able to like hold yourself accountable and also just like keep your own peace, because even like both of us said, we don't think we're emotionally available right now. We don't want a relationship. Like,
God.
But that's a good thing to know, and that's a good thing. Like, it's still good to have
start.
Standards. Yeah, with anyone, even like right now, honestly, I would like a situationship. I feel like that is like ideal for me. I don't want full commitment. I want mini commitment. But
do you know how to do that, Fiji?
Do I know how to do that? I don't really know.
I don't know either. Okay, so the first poll we asked you guys is, why do you think having high standards is trending so hard online right now? We gave y'all options to choose from. And basically the first one was because of the online gender wars, and 7% voted for that. It's always been this way, aka like nothing new. 10% voted for that. 39% voted for people are sick of situationships. And 44% voted for because of all the comparisons to goals relationships online.
See, that's so crazy because on mine it was the situationships, but when we put them all together, I guess goals won because it was kind of close.
Yeah, mine had a lot of votes from the goals one. I mean, again, I think it's a combination of the gender wars, situationships, and goals relationships. I don't think it's always been this way. I definitely don't think it's always been this way. And maybe that's because we didn't have the tool like TikTok to like spread the fire as much.
Yeah.
But I do think like something's trending like for a reason. Like it's on people's minds. And I think it does have to do with like online gender wars, or just like more people speaking out about misogyny and shit like that. So it's like people like Drew Afualo.
Yeah.
She is her goal is to make sure these women have higher standards for themselves. She's like living proof because she has the perfect boyfriend.
Right.
Not saying he's perfect or that I'm like obsessed with him. I'm not. I would way rather have her than him. But their relationship in terms of how they communicate and take care of each other seems very like healthy, good. Like he's not, like he's in touch with his feminine side. He's not toxic masculinity, whatever. So yeah, I think it's like trendy to have high standards. I think it's trendy as a woman to have high standards, especially like to just, because it's almost like if you don't have high standards, people like feel bad for you. And it's like, oh, like her standards are so low, like whatever.
Yeah, because I also think it has to do with like how women are just more educated now, and we don't need to get married to like have a life or have a house or like whatever the fuck. So it's like people are settling down like slower. And so women, I think that's part of it on the women's side of being like, okay, like before I decide to settle down, I don't need to. So let me have like high standards. But for men, that shit, like when I think of high standards, I think of on the men's side, I think of like Fresh and Fit and shit, and all of their like unachievable, insane, high but low standards for women because they don't respect women. And they want women to have, like, no bodies and, like, not wear certain shit. Like,
They're, like, completely the other way. And I think that the reason that men are being like that, it makes the women, like, it's like a chain effect. And so then our standards go up even higher because we see those fools, like, online, like, most male podcasters or male TikTokers. It's like, what the fuck? But I think the waiting to settle down is interesting, too. I think that, like, bleeds into the situationship thing is, like, because we're not, like, pressing to settle down. Like, it's a lot of, like, just, like, murky water situations. When you, situationships, you don't know if you're really dating or if it's going anywhere, whatever. And I think, like, even though, like, women are upset about situationships, like men don't want to commit, like I think women also, like you just said, you wanted a situationship because it's like our standards are so high, I don't want to commit just yet, so let's see how it is,
right? And
then you get a situationship. So all these things are like results of the other.
Yeah, because I voted for the situationships one. I feel like it's like you said, it all goes hand in hand because a lot of people are, part of it, I think, is that we're all on TikTok. We're all in our 20s. We're all trying to figure life out. So we're going to be in situationships. But then we're getting sick of that because we're like, oh, like our parents at this age, like my parents were already married at this age. I think they didn't have kids yet. But it's just like trippy to think about because it's like, okay, like we're getting older, like maybe we do want to settle down, like maybe we are thinking about that, but at the same time, you look around at all these men and it's just, it's not.
And it's like
helpful.
Some people are settling down. Like we both have like people we knew in high school with babies and they're married. So it's like people still are choosing that path, but I think it's far and few between now.
Yeah, and
it's way less common. Because it's also like I was just home in Boston for the holidays and I was talking to my childhood friend Ella and we were just like, I can't even imagine, we were saying, I can't even imagine like being committed to someone like that. I can't imagine having babies at this age.
Right.
Like, and it's just insane. But I think like everyone having high expectations is because of the gender wars. And because of that, it results in a lot of situationships that are not completely committed to each other. And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and I noticed, too, that a lot of people that were in relationships voted for the comparisons to goals relationships. And I was thinking about that, too, because, like, my old coworker, she's in, like, a really healthy relationship. Like, she said before that, like, her boyfriend is, like, probably the person she's going to marry. And, like, looking at people like that, it does give you hope where you're kind of like, oh, like, you know, people do find their person and like that's really cool to find your person young. So I think when we do see those relationships like online and stuff or like in people you know, you're just kind of like, you know.
Right. Because the online world is like saturated enough and then you put relationships on that and it's like all the influencers like it's just, but you just never know.
Well,
and I see,
because a lot of
you
them
never
can be
know.
Fake. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, I feel like my coworker, like her, is one of the first people I've met that's like my age, that's in a very healthy relationship, and I'm like, no, like you guys are like solid as fuck. But a lot of the stuff we see online with like celebrities and all of that, where it's like, oh, like, you know, he bought her a car, or he did this big display of love, like even Offset and fucking Cardi B. I mean, they're older or whatever, they have kids, they're married, but like. You look at stuff like that and you're like, oh, well, if they're not doing this, if they're not buying me this stuff, if they're not coming like this, then I don't want it.
Right. Yeah.
But so much
because I'm just
fake.
like, if it's just a picture or a video with no sound of a couple and it's like giving goals because they're on this like magical vacation, they're holding hands, blah, blah, blah. Like that shit, honestly, I don't even think twice about. I'm like, we don't know.
Yeah.
But again, to bring her up, when I hear Drew Afualo like talking about specific situations about her boyfriend like unlearning misogyny, that's the shit that I'm gonna be jealous about, but not jealous in the same way people are jealous about that online relationship. It's more of like a motivation that like that does exist and like I want to find that. Like that's goals to me when you hear stories and like your coworker even, but it's like the online shit, it's like the montage videos they make. It's like, yeah, it's cute, but it's just like on my thing is like if you're really in a happy relationship, like why are you spending so much time like online showing it? Like shouldn't you guys be like looking into each other's souls?
See, I don't know though, because when I was in relationships, I definitely wanted to show off my partner online. Like low key, if I was in a relationship, I would want to be like publicly an it couple, like a power couple together. Like I feel like that's important to me. I don't know, because I feel like I'm a boss bitch, so I want my partner to be like equally dope. But I
know
also
you've
want
said this
us
before.
To be,
I don't like. I don't want that.
You don't want. Yeah.
I just like. Maybe I do. Like, I guess I don't really have that much experience like posting with a significant other because like all my relationships like. What the fuck even were they? But like no, I definitely posted with like the first two girlfriends. Like we posted together and I did like that. But what excites me more, and I'm sure this excites you more too, but it's like showing up in a room with them where like everyone's looking at you like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But posting it online, like I don't know. It's just like for what?
For me, part of it I feel like
for your ego.
Yeah, and also the exhibitionism shit. Like, I want to be sexy with my
People
partner.
are thinking.
Like, I like to post, like, sexy pictures with my tits out, whatever. Like, I want a picture with, like, my man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like that shit. So, but I will say, like, with my ex, like, we both, like, liked fashion a lot. Like, we liked style, like, whatever. And, like, he would want to take pictures a lot together, which is, like I said, it's something I want. But, like, our relationship was never in a good place. So, like, it felt weird sometimes when we would do these, like, mini photo shoots, like, on the side road or whatever.
And you would get nervous to post, like, what are people going to think? Like, if I told them last night, like, I was done, whatever.
Right, and now I'm back with him. So I think that's the difference where it's, like, I would want it, but, like, I'm not just, like, the second I get with someone, I want to just post them all over my shit. Like, it needs to be solid because otherwise it just causes this extra anxiety that you're, like, faking it.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I think I've told this story before, but, like, the first time I met my second ex-girlfriend or whatever, we were like, or no, it was like the second time we hung out. We were with friends and, like, we were at a bar, whatever. Like, I looked good as fuck. Like, I was visiting LA for school. Like, I was low-key peaking. And we took a picture together and I, like, put on her beanie. But, like, not like, no. Like,
yeah.
She was, like, handing me a drink. And I was like, oh, like, take a picture of us because we were with her other friends. Like, I'm pretty sure they were like, wait, you guys look so good standing there. Hold on. Because we were about that, like, come up, post online shit.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sorry, but I looked so good. I had to post it.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't together, like, at all. And I made the caption, like, queer girls do it better. It was more just, like, an anthem to, like, you know, queer people are hot. Like, look at us, bitch.
Yeah.
But we ended up together. Like, I feel like deep down I probably wouldn't have, like, I don't know. Lesbians also just move fucking fast. But I feel it. Like, I do feel it. I feel like I haven't been in a relationship that was real and we were both here in the same place to even be able to, like, take those pictures. So maybe I would feel differently.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'm being pessimistic, or maybe I'm just like I don't need that for my ego. Like, I want to do other stuff for my ego, like post dance videos.
Yeah, I feel that. Low-key.
But I think...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I think it is a big reason about high standards, like, just to bring it back.
Yeah. We went off the rails there.
It's like, yeah, like, you see a relationship you want. It's like, exactly, I'm pulling some things Drew says. Like, this is my standard. I'm like, shit, like, that hits home for me. Like, maybe that should be mine, too. So... And it's good. Like, at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing to have high standards, but I think the key is figuring out that, like, standards and expectations aren't the same thing.
Right.
And that standards come from you. You need to identify those for yourself before you get into the relationship. So I think it's not a bad thing to have high standards, but you have to do it right, and you can't be mad when bitches don't meet those standards if they're fucking high, because most people suck, you guys, and most people, not that they suck, but it's like, I don't know, I'm also just, like, tired. Like, if a bitch has all these standards, I'm like, bro, like, I just want to sleep and, like...
Yeah, I don't like it when they just, like, expect... For me, the biggest thing is, like, too much from the beginning, where it's like, it's not even like a you guys together thing. It's just them coming into meeting you. Like, this is my fucking list of what I want, what I need, what you need to do. Like,
and who wants to do that? Like, to fucking present this list of non-negotiables? And I firmly believe that you shouldn't. You should have your standards and get to know this person, see how they show up. Boom, you have your answer.
Yeah.
Like... Because also if you're like, oh, this is my standard that I da-da-da-da, and then what if they just adapt that, but it wasn't really who they were? Like, don't you want it to be genuine? Like, I want someone that, like, knows about intersectional feminism, and I don't have to fucking explain it to them. Yeah. I'm not going to go say that to the next person I'm on a date with. It's like, hopefully they just bring it up, and we get in a conversation about it, and then I know.
See, I'm so guilty of that, though, and I feel like it's because I never really thought about, like...
Sorry.
I'm so guilty of that, though, and I feel like it's because I had never really thought about my standards or my expectations, like, before, but I would always get with people who did not know about fucking feminism or any shit like that, and then be mad.
Bro, please.
Be mad when, like, we get into conversations, and part of it is, like, you don't know until you talk to this person and you get to know them more. Like, I don't want to be, like... I'm not one of those crazy people that's going to, like, stalk the fuck out of them and be like, okay, these are their views. They check this, they check that. Like, I want to go into things without expectations and, like, with the idea that I want to get to know this person because they could change my mind. But that's where it comes, like, where you have to hold yourself accountable to, like, leaving if they're not
You have
meeting.
to hold yourself accountable. That's on you, bro. Mm-hmm. And it's like, obviously I want someone with intersectional feminism knowledge. Like, that is like a fucking like given. Maybe not for everyone, but for us, it's like, yeah, duh, we want that. But it's like, I've never been like firm about that. And I've been fine with educating people or also just like leaving it. Like, so it's just like, it's fucking hard. And I think being emotionally unavailable, I'm not like compelled to like sit down and like think about my standards, but like, because I don't want a relationship. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, I think it would be good. Like, I think it would be good for me to really just think about it for fun. Like, it's not serious. I'm not going to present it. Like, it's literally just for me. Like I need to get back on my journaling shit for real. Writing is so healing. But it's like, it's a lot sometimes. I'm like, because like, I need the handwriting to look good. Like, whatever. But
yeah, I started doing my notes app. Like, I don't really journal like that a lot, but sometimes
the notes app is my bitch.
Yeah, if I just feel like I need to get something out, like I have like a separate folder.
She'd be writing poetry.
Shit. Yeah, low key. The folder's called Musings.
And then she uses those for her captions, maybe.
Yeah. You know me so well, bitch. Okay, so our next poll that we asked you guys is, do you think your relationship standards are higher than they've ever been? And 68% of you guys said yes, and 32% said no, which kind of aligns with what we talked about with it trending and everything. I think yes for me. I don't think I've ever had standards in my life until recently. And I honestly think part of it is because of the TikTok stuff that I've consumed. I think part of it is just like getting older and like going through different, like I've been in like 3 long-term relationships. Yeah, so like learning through those relationships and stuff like that and getting older, but also a good amount of it is just like learning from other women online. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, I'd hope so, like after going through some relationships that my standards would be higher. But for me, like, I think I need to grow out of the phase still where it's like, if you're in love with them, your standards go out the window and you make it work. Because part of me finds that romantic, like in a fucked up kind of way. But I haven't been like happy, you know, like nothing's worked out from doing that. Has it been exciting? Yeah. And I think that's why I like it. And it's different and it's blah, blah, blah. But I think I do need to grow out of it. But hence the reason I'm emotionally unavailable. So I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. Like, at least I know.
Yeah.
But I'd be lying to y'all if I said, like, 2 months from now I meet someone and they're an anti-vaxxer. And I'm like, well, but that's so anti-vaxxer. Like, that's not even, like, a thing anymore. But, like, I just, like, it's all so connected. You know what I mean? Like, if you're scared, if you didn't get the COVID vaccine because whatever, okay. But if you're like, the COVID vaccine is...
You're probably a Trump supporter. You're probably like border QAnon vibes and like...
And I'm just like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? And like, I think if you don't get it for religious reasons, that's a different story. I feel like a lot of people, like, I can't, like, your faith is your faith, bro. I don't fucking know. But... So, yeah, I think I need to grow out of that phase of standards going out the window. But again, like I said, I've never sat down and identified those with myself. So that's the problem. Like, I don't even know. I'm, like, expecting to just find it and they'll be perfect. And that might happen. But I think if I think about my standards and if y'all think about your standards, then manifestation will do its thing.
You'll attract it better because it's like
right, because you know.
Presence.
And it doesn't need to be, like, so intense. Like, it doesn't need to be this long, specific list. Like, just, like, border. You know what I mean?
Just
like,
basic shit. Like, even, like, literally the top 2 on mine are that they need to have a job and that they need to have a home. And that is so fucking basic, guys. But it's shit that, like, has happened with multiple people I've been with. And I was actually, like, kind of having this conversation with my therapist recently because I feel like part of it is so much of my identity is wrapped up in being a free spirit and an accepting person that, like, to me, having these quote-unquote standards or expectations of people seems, like, too stuck up or too, like, closed-minded kind of. But it's not that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can still be free-spirited and open-minded, but also, like, want a decent level of things for ourselves.
Right.
You know?
And like you can still fuck people with no jobs.
Right.
Like you can still have love for them.
I will fall in love with them. Like it's always the guy.
But
they
it's
have
like
the best dick. The guys with no house and no job.
Yeah. But it's like we just can't get into a relationship with them. And then it's like you think, well, what if they're the one that it actually would work? That's what I'm saying. Like I get too romantic like at the end of the day and I'm just like, no, I'll sacrifice for love. Like, but it's like, bitch, please. Please.
And that's the thing. I think both of us are hopeless romantics. Like, even how we talked about in the Lover Girl episode, like, I think I'm more nonchalant in the beginning, but, like, definitely I'm, like, romanticize shit as fuck. Like, once I like that person. And I feel like I'm more drawn towards the bad people. So it's just, like, we got to rewire our brains a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, I'm manifesting higher standards. I mean, I have a list of them, but you know, it'll change. It'll change. Yeah. It'll adapt.
It'll change. So the next poll we asked y'all for this episode was, do you think expectations and standards are the same thing? And 31% said yes. You're wrong. And 69% said no. But listen, like I'm confused, but I know that they're not the same thing because I really believe having standards is good for you. But I really believe having high standards is good for you, but having high expectations is bad for you.
Right.
So that's why I don't think they're the same thing. I think there's a negative connotation with expectations. I think all of my relationships hurt me because expectations were not met. Unsaid expectations were not met. That's the key to all this hurt is like that. So, no, they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're definitely fucking not. And yeah, I feel like my shit with expectations, my ex had insane expectations of me that he would voice. And I would try to meet in a crazy way. But I had crazy expectations of him that I don't think I did voice. But also would get mad at him for not meeting when I really should have had better standards.
What crazy expectations did you have for him, bro? No, the fuck
Well,
you
no,
didn't.
but I'm saying, like, my expectations of him were that he would miraculously become this person I wanted him to be when he was never going to be. Like, so my ex made music and he was, like, he was creative. He was a really good artist, da-da-da. Like, I had these expectations of him, like, actually doing his music and actually becoming stable and actually going to therapy and, like, doing all of these things that I thought were good for him. But, like, me expecting that of him was not healthy because, like, he needed to figure it out
for you or for him.
Right. Like, I needed to, like, you can't expect someone to go to therapy or do any of that shit. I feel like it's backwards because they need to figure it out on their own. Like, you need to just love them where they're at. And if you can't do that, it's your standards and leave. But
and you gotta go.
So...
Yeah, and I think situationships, like the root of hurt there is like people expect that it's going to be official, that you're going to be committed. I mean, at the end of the day, as much as we're like, I don't want to be committed, like, I don't want to spend all my time with someone and then we're not going to end up together at the same time.
I don't know, like, because that's what
Bitch, you're lying. No.
Like, I struggled with this with my last situationship because, like, he thought that I was expecting and maybe I was deep down. I don't know.
But he was,
but I really
I think you were, but like
comfortable with where we were. Like,
not anytime soon.
I was not looking not 6 months, not whatever, anytime to be like, we're dating. Like, I liked being like my man who's not my man. Like, I did not want to post pictures. I did not want any of that shit. Like, you feel me? But, like, he thought that I had expectations. I don't know. So, like, it gets murky because it's like you can have expectations of the relationship and then you can also have expectations of the person. Like, I think I had expectations of him as a person even in being a situationship. But I think he thought I had expectations of the relationship, which I think are different things. Because, like, if you're in a situationship with someone and it's very clear that you guys are just a situationship, it is so unhealthy for you to just keep thinking, oh, one day it's going to turn into something. Because if it's not that, then you're just kind of like, you're wasting your own time. And, you know?
And you know what's unhealthy as well? If y'all have ever been in open relationships before, like your girl over here, is expecting that one day it won't be open anymore.
Yep.
When people are telling you that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But still deep down you're expecting it, like, no way, bro. Like, you're going to love me too much, narcissist much. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the key to that's the shit on my life. That's basically what it is. Number one is, like, just expecting that, like, and I never said anything. I said, I'm fine with it. Don't leave me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's, like, shit I definitely need to work on. But I really just think that's the root of all bad. That's how people get hurt. And if you're clear, because we're not really talking about boundaries this episode because we didn't want to talk about too much.
Yeah.
But the way to, like, not have your expectations fall through is to, like, set clear boundaries and hold yourself accountable and then leave. And it's like this, like, I really feel like standards are within yourself and boundaries are what you share with the person. You know?
I think boundaries are still within yourself, though.
And that, yeah, you don't necessarily need.
Well, you can share them,
unless
but you show
it's
them
like
in actions.
Yeah, unless it's like, I have a boundary. I don't like to be choked. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
That's different. Or whatever. Like, I've been yelled at in the past, and that just, like, if that does happen, like, just like, I'm gonna lose it. Like, maybe more stuff intense like that. But I hear you. It's like, not necessarily. And it's like, if they cross a boundary, you leave. And that's the hardest thing. Like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to, you know what I mean? So that's why it's so hard to hold yourself accountable. I think it's the hardest part.
Yeah. But I think, like, even how you were saying the open relationship shit and expectations, like, it's so complicated for both of us, and, like, you especially, because you say, like, you've been in these, like, open relationships, but you didn't want that, but you maybe want in the future. And that's how I feel now with the situationship, where I'm like, do I want monogamy? Do I want an open relationship? Like, I don't really know. And part of it,
something in between, babe.
Right. And part of it really, like, it's so hard because part of it you need to, like, get to know. I think you need to get to know someone for at least 5 months before you think about any type of commitment, whether it's situationship, open relationship, any of that, because you don't know the person, you know?
Yeah. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I feel like with open relationships, because it's weird, like, exactly, I've been in two and I, like, didn't like it, but then I still come on here and I'm like, you know, because it's weird. I do like a lot of things about it. I think, like, I just need, like, a clear cut, we are primary partners. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I need you. You're coming home.
Right.
But, like, we can fuck around sometimes. Like, because I don't want to be, like, only, like, I know that, like, us as people, like, we can get love from just one person. But, like, it's, like, I feel like people's lives are more whole if you are able to kind of, like, get love from multiple people. And although it hurts, like, I don't want to hold anyone back from anything, like, whatever. So, yeah. All that to say, expectations and standards are not the same thing, my friends. But it is fucking confusing. And it's like, it's our duty as people that want to respect ourselves in relationships to think about this shit beforehand and not just, like, jump in. But at the end of the day, like, love is romantic, and sometimes you fall hard, fall fast. You don't have time to get to politics yet. I get it. It's happened to me multiple times.
Right.
Okay. This next poll that we will do is, have you ever felt like your partner put unrealistic expectations on you? And honey, yeah. I think we can all agree that. Oh, I didn't even read the answers. 74% said yes. 26% said no. And I don't know if the 26%, like, they're, like, celibate. They've been single their whole life. Because I feel like no matter what, like, it happens because not everyone's in their healthy mind and in therapy. And like I said, like, we're preaching to you guys, make a list about your standards. I haven't done it. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm going to do it anytime soon.
You should, though. You should.
I know.
Didn't we say that in the cheating episode? We said that in one episode that we were going to do that. Or maybe.
You know what would be so cool if, like, we had, like, a Twitch following and we could, like, go live on Twitch and, like, we're writing our standards and, like, do it together,
like,
and, like,
vision
drink.
board, workshop it.
Vibes,
kind of thing.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
What's one that you think a partner had for you, like, a high expectation or unrealistic expectation that you couldn't meet? And how did you handle it?
I think, like, one with my ex-boyfriend, like, I think he had the expectation that, like, I was like gonna put up with shit because I let him to believe that I was. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. I feel like he put this expectation on me. Like, I was like very clear about like I don't want you going on romantic dates. Like, you can fuck whoever you want. But, like, he was doing that. And he kind of would just, like, expect me to be cool with it.
Right.
And that I hated. I also have been in long-distance relationships with multiple women, like, high school and even recently, where I felt like the communication was expected to be way too much. Like, way too much.
Okay, but let me, for the boyfriend
Yeah,
one,
I'm sorry.
For the boyfriend one, couldn't you also argue that maybe you expected too much of him? Yes. But it was your agreement in the relationship that he agreed to. And that's what makes it complicated, because it's like, if the person agrees to this, if you're like, we're in this relationship, these are our boundaries, we're open, and they agree, then I think it's fair to expect, like, have expectations of them, because that's what you set together.
Right, but it's like at the same time, yes, that agreement was made, but I have knowledge about who he is as a person. I have knowledge about his past. He's broken my trust already twice or whatever. So it's like, at that point, even though we did have the agreement, it's like, it's still on me. But I did feel like it was like I was going to get in trouble if I tried to leave, because we were just the ride or die, Bonnie or Clyde. We could do no wrong to each other. We're always going to hold it down.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like he put that expectation on me to, like, hold it down and, like, keep my pussy clean and not fuck anyone else.
Get upset about things. Like, not to be emotional or have feelings when something.
And I cried so much around that, man. Like.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
What about you?
I feel that too. I feel like my ex is like he had so many unrealistic expectations of me, but I feel like the biggest one was like with how I interacted socially with other people. Like, he did not want me to be friendly at all. And like, it was even hard to the point where it's like I was like waitressing at the time, and like he would come literally sit in the restaurant when I was waitressing. Like, this is how unhealthy we were, like, guys. But like, he would get mad at me sometimes, like, talking to my tables and being too friendly, or like being too friendly with, like, if we were out and someone, like, was talking to someone when I was smoking a cigarette, he would be like, you know, like, so, and I would try to mold myself and my interactions, even with posting. Like, he didn't want me to post certain things or like wear certain stuff, and I definitely tried to like manipulate myself to fit his stuff, and that just like you never feel like
though.
You feel like a shell of a person, because it's like it's not healthy. That's control. That's not love, you know?
And then it gets to a point at the end of relationships, like we're talking about, it's like the expectations get low. Like, I'm not expecting anything at this point, and then you're just in a fucking pit of misery. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can't really think of like a specific time, like, or not a specific time, but like a concrete example where it's like they were in the wrong and I wasn't.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that like I have not held myself accountable in relationships, like, period, in terms of like what I want, what I'm okay with, like being treated. And I think it's just a part of growing up. But I think like it's really just like, girl, like, I keep, like, you can't complain. Like, you know who you're with, and just because it's hard to leave and love and blah, 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 like, at the end of the day, it's still on you. And, like, forgive yourself. Like, we're not bad people because we choose to stay, but it's like, just know that in the future, it's like you can't keep expecting people to change who they are for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's an expectation that we, like, have as women, like, growing up with, like, movies and Bad Boys and all that shit. It's kind of like a subconscious expectation. And it's just, like, wanting to change people in all sorts of ways. Like, not even just, like, bad to good or whatever. It's just, like, it's really unhealthy. It's really bad. And that's why I'm like, expectations are different, because standards are not going to hurt anyone. Like, if you have your standards, you're clear with them, you live by them actively, proactively.
Right.
What? No one can say shit to you. Like, that's what you want. And if they're not giving it, bye.
Yeah.
Because it's very like our society. It's also very like we have high standards, and the second a boundary's crossed, see you later. Like, everyone's like, bye, like, immediately. Yep. Like, there's no time to, like, have a conversation about it. And I don't really like that. Like, I think cutting people off is, like, something serious. And I think, like, as, like, Gen Zers, like, we take it very, like, it's not a big deal. And, it kind of is a big deal. Like, unless they, like, suck really bad, they did something. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh, another one bites the dust. Like, it's so disposable, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like I move like that a lot, like, kind of the mysterious girl, nonchalant way in early, like, dating or early meeting people. Because, like, I think part of it is if I don't do that, if I don't just cut them off, ghost, disappear when there's a red flag I don't like or whatever, that I think I'm too susceptible to, like
it's now or never.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that's necessarily healthy, because I do think you're right. Like, I think our generation just, like, it's almost partly like a lack of respect of other people and their feelings, but, like, also just fiercely, like, protecting ourselves in a weird way.
Right, and that's the thing, because, like, that's where it gets so tricky, because it's like fiercely protecting yourself can hurt others, and, like, it will hurt others. But do we feel bad about that? Like, that's what I'm confused about, because it's it's kind of like ghosting, cutting people off. It's, like, kind of similar. And I just mean, like, it's a big deal in the sense of, like, we shouldn't treat people like that disposable and, like, all of that. But at the same time, like, I'm a firm believer that, like, we really just, like, don't owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
Like, at all. And I think, like, that's another common expectation we have subconsciously is, like, we want people to, like, not hurt us or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. But it's, like,
yeah.
I get confused about that. I'm like, is fiercely protecting myself a good thing? Because we talk about it like it is. But, like, out in the world, it's, like, people are, like, put others before you.
But I think it goes both ways, because I feel like I very much move as, like, I'm going to ghost people. I'm going to, like, not put my energy towards them if I see a red flag, if there's something I don't like, etc. But I also try my best to have the mindset that if someone does that to me, I need to just accept it. Like, if I liked someone and they ghosted me, or if they cut me off, I can't get mad, because I'm like, you know, it goes both ways.
And you could get mad, you just can't direct it at them, because they're protecting themselves.
You're expecting too much. Again, it goes to the expectations of, like, you expect them to have this conversation. You should never really expect anything of anyone, because it's just going to come back and, like, eat yourself up and hurt yourself, and then you're going to settle for less and, like, all that.
And I think people can argue that's a pessimistic way to live, is, like, don't expect anything from anyone. It's all for me. Like, it's all me. Like, all I got is me at the end of the day. And I go back and forth of, like, whether that's, like, a good motto to live by.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be, like, very, like, it, but it's not in a self-obsessive way. It's just, like, I've been hurt before, and I'm going to protect myself in situations, even if it hurts other people. Because I think as women being people pleasers growing up, it also kind of feels like a superpower.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just hard. Like, and I think people are just, like, we should show love to everyone, like, do the things that you would want done back to you and all of that bullshit. But I also just think it gets confusing in a society like this. Like, are you cutting someone off after a first date, after 5 dates, after a Tinder message? Like, what is it? And that depends. But it's like, I've, like, broken up with people to protect myself, like, recently. And it was really fucking hard. And, like, she was really fucking hurt. Like, I really hurt her. And it's like, I don't feel good about that. But I also, like, wasn't happy and knew that I needed to be single. Yeah. So, you know?
Yeah, and you can't manage other people's expectations. Like, you're only going to, like, ruin your own. Like, you're going to ruin your own standards in yourself if you try to, like, take on that other person's expectations. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to talk about some, like, common standards that we've heard, like, other women having, maybe some standards for ourselves as well. I'll just start with, like, the most basic one we always talk about is how women are like, you need to spend a certain amount of money, like, before the first date or on the first date. Us personally, we do not relate to this standard, but I don't see any problem with it. Like, I'm like, if that's what you want, that's what you want. And you will find a man that will do that. So go find him. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I actually saw one of my friends post something like that recently. Like, she had posted, like, something about only fucking with men that like give her money, and someone had replied and was like, oh, that's unrealistic, and she was like, no, it's not, because men will do it. You know?
Yeah, for you maybe, and that's fine.
Right.
Who said I fucking wanted you anyways, sir?
Right. Like, please fuck off. Yeah.
They always assert themselves like they're the main character, and it's like, bitch, like, I'm not
interested in you. I'm not looking in your direction, so please.
That's fine. You just made it clear that we'll never be together.
Yeah, you're
Fantastic.
never going to be on the roster. Bye. I think another one for guys that's pretty common that I honestly see on Hinge a lot is that they like expect their woman to like make them food or be like a traditional
What is it, the 40s?
Woman. Huh? Right, exactly. Exactly. So that I think is that a standard? I would say it's a standard for yourself, but then don't date women that don't cook or that don't want that. Don't try to put that on someone else. I guess.
It's a standard for yourself, but it's not a great one. Mm-mm. We don't really like that one, but it is, and it could be. But it's like, okay, so you just go after women or in the chef career. I don't fucking know, because no bitch today is going to be doing that shit. Like, maybe they were, but, like, it's 2024. Yeah. Another one for men, I think, is, like, I feel like men, like, expect for the dynamic in, like, heterosexual relationships to be, like, not even. Mm-hmm. It's like they get to do a little bit more than you do. Whether it's, like, posting online all the time or like unhealthy things that guys like don't want their girl to do or whatever. So I think they have like that kind of standard and expectation in their mind that like they're going to be able to get to kind of do a little bit more in the relationship than the women have the upper hand.
Yeah, like it what is it? They're alpha men or they're dominant or whatever the fuck. And it's like, again, if you want to find a woman that loves that shit, I'm sure there's women out there, but like too many men just want to put that on everyone. I think another one for me, I feel like I have a standard that they need to be like creative and like not working on themselves, but I really want someone who's like established and like going after goals and is kind of like not necessarily
that's
like
a great standard,
like something like that. And I think it's also like where it could be an expectation or it could get murky is like, say this person is really on their shit and then they lose their job or like something like that. Like obviously I would like stay with that person and I would probably have the expectation that they would like, you know, figure it the fuck out. But.
Right. But it's like it can be vague. It's not like they have to have like a 9-to-5 with a 401k. It's like they're reaching towards something. And I think like that's great. I think a standard that like I want to have, like I definitely want that standard as well. Like someone with shit going on. So they're not like all consumed in the relationship because like that's just what I've experienced a lot.
Yeah.
And like I just want someone that's like solid with her without me. Like I feel like they're solid with her without me.
Independent. That's a big thing. Like,
right. Independent.
Like, yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think that's definitely a big one. Like I also like this is one that's iffy for me. I don't know if it's a standard or an expectation. But it's like, I don't want to communicate all the time. Like, I don't want to text every day. I don't want to, like, hang out 24/7. Like, I really want my own space. But I haven't been always the best at, like, communicating that. Like,
right.
I guess it could be an expectation. Like, I'm expecting them to just get that so I don't answer or I just, like, disappear or whatever, but without communicating it. So that's, like, a good example of, like, a standard or expectation that's, like, kind of iffy. Like, you could work it out. But, like, you need to communicate it and not just, like, disappear.
Because it's also kind of a boundary, too. If it gets too much and you're like, I do not want to text all day. Like, are you okay with that?
Right. And I'll just go to the boundary of just setting the boundary by not responding versus, like, communicating the expectation that I don't want.
Right. But it's, like, that's one where it's like, okay, come on. Like, you should know that I don't want to text all day. But unfortunately, like, living in the land of technology, it's, like, not. Like, some people really do want to do that all day. And, like, I've definitely texted people all day. I love texting people all day, but I don't want to do it every single day.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't want to do it at all.
Yeah, I think another standard for myself too is like I really do want like people to be educated in like race and gender identity, all that shit, because I've just like done a lot of like educating, and I've also been on the other side where like I was a little bit more ignorant like in my first relationship, and I feel like she educated me. So I'd like a nice balance of us educating each other.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like someone that's like knowledgeable about society shit and how the world is like fucked up, and I don't have to like prove to them or explain to them why it's fucked up.
Yeah, because I don't mind, like, if they're not completely as, like, educated about certain things as me, but I want them to at least be, like, curious and open-minded and be, like, interested in those things and learning more if they're not coming from, like, completely the same views, because I think that's important. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I don't know if this is, like, fucked up or if this even is a standard, but something you hear a lot of women say is, like, their standard is they have to be 6 feet tall. And it's kind of like a joke, but like these bitches are serious. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I do think that's just another reason men are like, meh.
Yeah, because I feel like I kind of have that one. Like I have messed with guys that were shorter, and honestly, it was fun. But I do prefer, like, I won't swipe on them on Hinge if they're shorter than 6 foot.
And it's mainly because that you are tall when you pop out because of your shoes and just in general. Because like, you know, if you weren't as tall, you didn't wear shoes like that, it wouldn't be as harder for someone to like tower over you. Like that's why for me, like I think it's just like I don't even think about that, because if they're shorter than me, I'm like there's just no way. I'm so sorry, but there's no way.
Yeah, that would be really difficult.
I don't know why, but again, I think it's just because I'm stuck in these binaries of like I'm the sub, so I have to be shorter than you, which is so stupid, and I understand that. But it is what it is, okay?
Being, like, I feel like that with, like, being the woman with a man, like, I want to be shorter, I don't want to be taller. Like, I don't know. Is it fuck? Because there's cute couples with a tall girl and a shorter guy. Like,
For sure there is. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's also, like, very much, like, breaking masculinity and all of that. So I'm, like, I stand. And maybe it'll happen because I am, like, pansexual as fuck. Like, I don't care about the gender. Like, I just meet people and it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
But, like, ideally. But I'm not going to, like, put that on my list.
Right.
You know?
It's not, like, a top thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another, like, standard or expectation that I see a lot that I think is really toxic is either, like, going through their phone on a consistent basis, or also like not liking pictures, or not like that kind of stuff that we talked about in our social media episode and like the cheating one. Because I do think there's some people that really have that belief that like, oh, like if we're in a relationship, I can go through your phone whenever I want. I've seen that on Twitter before, and like with lots of retweets, and like same with liking someone's picture, or oh, you have to unfollow every girl you know if we're in a relationship, or like stuff like that. And I personally think that's really like unhealthy and toxic, and that's more under expectations versus standards. But if you find someone who is compatible with that and that's how you guys want to live your life, like, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's a balance. Like, if it's a healthy relationship, they're a good person for you, and they occasionally like some thirst traps on Instagram, I'm not going to be mad.
Right.
But it's like if you've like cheated on me and you're liking pictures and you aren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, now we have a problem. But I think the liking pictures and online shit for what it is, point blank period, like I don't care about that too deep. But again, we're like kind of like non-monogamous bitches. So like, I think there's a lot of people that would be like, there's no way. I don't want him to like a single. But I also think in that situation, like those women are victims of like the patriarchy, because at the end of the day, it's just like we all are victims of the patriarchy, but they, you know, they're not it's about like the comparison to other girls. So it's like, your man liked a hot bitch's photo, you're mad because she's so hot. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, but you're hot too. Like, it's just a picture.
Yeah, and I think there's like this common misconception with a lot of people when they get in relationships that like these are just the do's and don'ts of relationships, or do's and don'ts of when you're talking to someone. Like, you should never like a thirst trap, and like that's just never healthy unless you have a conversation with your partner about it.
It's not that black and white.
Yeah, and that's where the unhealthy expectation shit comes in, because like you could be like dating this guy and he likes a girl's picture, but you guys have never talked about, like, he might think that's fine and whatever, and then now all of a sudden you're like mad at him and you're
and
upset.
that's because you had an expectation that he wouldn't do that,
right,
without telling him,
right,
because you're expecting the best. Like, well, maybe he'll just come through, and I get it. Like, sometimes you do just have to like see if people will come through, but that's why you just shouldn't get in too deep until you like figure this shit out, because they're obviously not meeting your standards and you need to buy. And we're talking about this like it's easy. It's not easy at all. Like, I've never been successful doing it. Like, honestly, like I mean, I've gotten out of things, but
yeah.
So I get it, but I also am very knowledgeable and like hard on myself, because like I know that I could have left a long time ago and endured way less pain, but I chose to stay because of love.
Right.
Like, no, bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's yeah. And it's trauma bonds. We are going to do an episode about trauma bonds soon. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we definitely are. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into our listener stories. The first one, someone said, you can tell when a girl has no standards or expectations. And this is something I see a lot from women saying too. Because sometimes when like guys say that, I'm like, oh, you're misogynistic. Like, what do you mean? Like, the common thing, like, women don't respect themselves, like, whatever. But like, I've seen a lot of women say this too. To me, it still kind of just gives that like cult of femininity. You're not a real woman, like da 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 da. Because like we said, we don't have the fucking standard that you can't like girls' pictures. Like, does that mean I don't respect myself? No, that means I respect my partner and I know that they can be like visually attracted to other people and it's not going to bother me. And they can like express like a like on a post and I'm secure in myself. But to someone else, that might mean, oh, she has no standards. She doesn't respect herself. So it's like.
Right. Because it's like, you know, as women, like, you can have high standards, but don't like look at another bitch like low because she's not having him cash app her $2,000 before the first date. So it's like, that's where it comes into play. And like, this is internalized misogyny for sure. Because it's like, you can tell. It's like, oh, well, like, why? Because she's like heartbroken, because she has a different man every 5 minutes. Like, why? And it's also just like, it's sad. Like, at the end of the day, like, having no standards is like, it's like low mental health, maybe. Like, there could be issues, but I just think like as women, we shouldn't, because it has such a negative connotation with saying like, you can tell when she has no standards.
And
like,
I do think it's another thing, like another thing just on that I've seen on TikTok a lot is that like women talking about like, oh, like men will take advantage of you if they know that you don't have standards. Like, don't tell them about how you've been hurt in the past and this and that, because like if they know that that's what you've put up with, they're gonna put you through the same shit because they don't respect you, which is to me just like a terrifying thought. And I feel like that's really pessimistic to believe that like all men are out here to do is take advantage of you, and that like you can't ever be vulnerable about like your past without them being like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to like control her, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah, because part of me is like, it's low-key true.
It's true,
like,
though.
Men suck. Like, I feel like I'm like, it's low-key true. But it is super pessimistic and scary of the idea that you couldn't like open up about that. But I feel like just wait to open up about that until you feel like you know his heart and whatever. And like what he wants to. Why are you smiling? Because I said you know his heart.
No, I was smiling because I was just thinking about like how I've ended up with homeless guys, and now like one of the things that I want to do is make sure they have a home before I let them into my home. Because I feel like that's the thing is like what
like you shouldn't tell the next guy that you've been with homeless guys before.
Well, or I shouldn't tell them that I live alone and have like a nice place, because I feel like sometimes guys will come in and see that and then they'll be like, oh, this is an opportunity. She let me stay over one night. Now I'm going to move in. You feel me? Like it's almost like if you give guys too much leeway or put the thought in their head that like you will put up with this shit or that you will like have no boundaries, they'll just be like,
right.
Let me take
and we shouldn't have to like work around them like they're children. Like they should just know. But unfortunately, that's the situation that we're fucking in. But I think that's interesting, and I think like TikTokers like making that, it's like they do have good intentions with that. It's like trying to protect people and whatever. but it is scary. It's really scary, and dating shouldn't be that fucking scary. It just really shouldn't. And again, it brings us back to just like the online gender wars going on. I think it just heightens all of this shit so much. Okay, this next story, someone submitted, people spend too much time on the internet getting false senses of engagement with humans, and I think they have unlimited options. So this person is in line, whoever submitted this, because this is what we always say. Like, we literally always say this shit. And it's like it's like the goals relationship, like they're seeing a false reality online. And then with dating apps and like situationships, no one's tied down. There's unlimited fucking options because everyone's like, they got their foot in one door, one foot in the other. Like, we're all trying to hold on for dear life, but at the same time, not commit to anyone. Like, it's a nightmare out here.
Yeah, that honestly kind of like makes me think of like some of the limited research that I did but didn't like pull into this episode. But it was just talking about that idea that like our generation, we have so much access, or like a false sense of access to so many options. So we're less likely to like stick it out with one person because there's always someone better. But a lot of like relationships, you know, you need to put the work in. Like, I was listening to this one podcast, and it was saying how, like, arranged marriages actually sometimes have a higher rate of working out than, like, marriages for love. But it's because they are, like, okay, we're in this. We have to, like, commit to, like, finding
there's no, like,
right, instead of just, like, oh, this is great, like, it's supposed to be like this forever. Like, with an arranged marriage, you, like, know that you both have to put in work. So it's like, I do think our generation can do like a little bit better of a job being like, okay, like, yeah, there's so many people out there. Like, we can have so many followers, so many people on dating apps. But like, sometimes if the connection is good enough, like, it's worth it to put effort in. So.
Right.
Okay, so the next one, someone said, I honestly think it's less about expectations for the relationship and more about people's delusions. And I feel this is so fucking hard. Like, we really didn't talk about, like, delusions and being delulu, but, like, you guys should listen to our delulu episode because I think they're very closely tied together.
Yeah. Although we were very pro delulu in that episode, but we did talk a little bit about the downsides of being. But, yeah, I mean, we've essentially said that just in a different way.
Yeah.
It's like some of these expectations that we be having in relationships is delusional. Like, expecting someone to text you all day is delusional.
And, like, not liking anyone's picture, unfollowing everyone of the opposite gender, or, like, whatever. Like,
I mean, come on. Come on. Like, yes, it sucks. And, like, your relationship isn't safe on Instagram. Listen to that episode as well. But it's, like, this is our world. Like, this is how it is. If you are a creative especially, it's, like, you need to be online. Like, you're missing a huge fucking opportunity if you're not. And it's, like... Also, online dating has a lot of success stories, like it does. So it's like we're all on here. So I know actually, it sucks, but
with the online success stories, when I was at my work dinner last week, like one of the guys I work with was telling me his I almost said wife, his daughter is pregnant, and she got married, and it's to a guy she met on Hinge, and he said that they're like the cutest couple ever. And that he knew when he met him, it was, like, the perfect person for her. And it was, like, really cute.
I need to get my Hinge back.
Like, no, I'm on it right now. I haven't been swiping, but people have been matching with me. I actually matched with this dude from France, which is funny because the last guy I ghosted just went to Paris, and then I ghosted him. But I matched with this guy from France. I think I might go on a date with him.
He's from France, but now he lives in
Yeah,
ATL.
He's got an accent, and he speaks French. I'm like, okay, different.
He definitely smokes cigarettes, maybe.
For sure.
That's hot, bro.
Right.
Okay, I forgot what we were doing. I was like thinking about the French man. Okay. I like that. This next listener's story is someone said expectations and standards should be high because someone will meet them. Trust. And agree, but disagree because I think standards should be high, but I don't think expectations should be high because if you're set in your standards, there's no surprise. Like, you're going to figure it out or you're not, and you're not going to be heartbroken if they don't meet your standards because you're not going to let yourself have your expectations not be met.
Right, exactly. And definitely.
But I think she had pure intention.
Right, like, have high standards.
Or they. I don't know who did this. Just kidding, I do.
We definitely have high standards because someone will meet them and you will find your person, and maybe they won't meet all of them. No, maybe you'll find someone that will meet all of them. Let's be fucking positive. But yeah, expectations and standards are different.
Yeah.
And then the last one, this is so fucking stupid. Someone literally replied to the question and said, "You popping out tonight? Let's go to church," which is this bar. But they replied on the So Wet So Dry Instagram. It's someone I know that I met like recently, but I'm like, what? It's because I didn't answer their DMs, so they thought they would go a different route.
And that's just to say, like, these men will try anything, bro.
Delulu.
Anything.
Delusional as fuck.
All right, so let's wrap up the episode how we always do, talking about what we're wet, dry, and confused about the topic. So in this case, it's standards and expectations. I guess I'm wet. I'm emotionally unavailable because I don't want to have to think about any of this shit. But I do think that, like, it's good. Even though I'm not planning on making my standards list, like, tonight, it's good that I'm even speaking about it because I think one day it's just going to happen. Like, I'm just going to be chilling and then just get the motivation to, like, write that down. And again, I really don't want to date anyone anytime soon. I would like to have sex. It's been a while.
Yes.
I would really like to fucking do that with someone cool. But yeah, so I'm what about that? I'm what about knowing the place that I'm in? I feel like I've had a lot of times in my life where I really wanted to be in a relationship, and that's not really fun. So, like, I'd way rather be like this.
Yeah.
And I'm not bitter. Like, you know what I mean? I know that, like, I will find my person, and I'm not like, everyone sucks. I don't want to date anyone, like, as much as we joke. Like, I don't think everyone sucks. I just, like, genuinely, I can't right now because I'm not where I want to be. So I'm just what about knowing that, and now we just have to put the actions forward.
Yeah. No, I feel the same. Like, I'm what about even starting to think about my standards and, like, the fact that I did make a list and, like, whatever.
Yeah, out of anger, bro, because she was so mad.
I was so fucking mad because it was the standards and expectations.
And so that list is
it's
specific.
Lengthy and specific. And I don't know if that's what I want for everything, but I think it was even good for me to do that in the situation that I was in at that time because I was like, wait, like,
it was healing.
It's not,
and you can edit it. Like,
yeah, I can edit it, but, like, it was a good practice to, like, think through. But definitely I also feel like emotionally unavailable. Like, I don't really know what I want. So I'm like, what about, like, differentiating between expectations and standards. I'm also wet that, like, I feel like I'm never gonna, like, be with someone that has insane, unrealistic expectations of me. Like, that era of my life is fucking done. You take me as I am or you fucking leave me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100% me too. I think I'm dry about how, like, there's, like, the women on women hate when it comes to standards, and, like, we kind of talked about it but not that much, but it's just, like, I really hate that shit.
Yeah.
Because even in high school, it's like, it starts young. It's like, oh, she has no standards, like, she doesn't respect herself, and just, like, I just hate that so much. Like, as a woman, it's just, like, everyone constantly thinking that you don't respect yourself because you wear a tank top with your nipples showing. Like, it's exhausting. Right. And men, I expect men to do that and to talk about us behind our backs and say shit like that. But when women do it, it just cuts so deep because I'm like, you know how it is. Like, why would you act like that?
Right. It's like internalized misogyny.
It's like, not bad, like, to not have standards. It's just, like, you need to work on yourself. But it's not a bad thing. Like, we all want love. Like, it's okay to, like, let some things go and, like, see how it works out. But at the end of the day, it's like I said, it hasn't been working out for me. So I think it's time to, like, try the other way and, like, be more firm. Mm-hmm. But you don't need to be OD. Like Fiji said, like, a great example is, like, just having someone that's working towards something and has goals and employment. They don't need to be, like, fucking working 6 jobs and have
flowers
a Grammy
every day,
like,
and, like, shit like that. Yeah, no.
Right. It doesn't need to be specific, and it might sound silly, but at the end of the day, it's like having goals in this society is also hard. Like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think being around someone like that would be good for me. So yeah, the fuck I want that. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely dry about the same. I'm dry about, like, the men that will take advantage of you and stuff like that for not having standards. I think that that's just like so fucked up and just actually evil. Like those people are really just low-key supervillains and manipulative as fuck.
I love you, bro.
What? I'm also dry.
And they do it so much. Like, it's such a thing. And that's why that TikTok you brought up about that girl being like, I really feel like she was trying to protect women when she was saying like she did it in kind of a toxic way, but don't tell them that you've let a man hurt you, like blah, blah, blah. But I think her intention was good.
I think her intention was
because
good
it's such a.
But what I didn't like about it is the part where she said a high value woman. That I don't like that term because I think we're all high value. Like that to me sounds like a manosphere term. But I definitely am all for like women.
Right, like BBL. Yeah, she is a high value.
Right, like okay, what the fuck does that mean? But yeah, definitely protecting yourself from these like guys because they will like fucking take advantage of you.
And they will take advantage of you if they feel like you're not clear on your standards. Mm-hmm. So that's why the takeaway is like you need to identify those standards by yourself, not for anyone else but you. You don't even need to talk about it with your best friend. Like, if you're not ready, like, just have that shit for yourself. Like, it's a fun little exercise. It's not serious. It's just a game. Make it a game. Right. Every time I don't want to do anything, I'm like, oh, I'll just, like, do this work task for fun. See what happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I guess I'm confused. I mean, I still think the standards, expectations, boundaries, they all bleed into each other as words, especially in the way that we're talking about them in this context. So I do get a little bit confused about that. What is that an expectation? Is that a standard I should have? Is that a boundary I should set? You know, I think I do get confused about that. But overall, we've made it clear that like expectations, having them high will hurt you, but having high standards will not hurt you as long as you're accountable to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm still confused about is, like, more where I stand in terms of what I'm looking for, because I think standards are different.
I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like, if I'm just going to fuck someone, standards are different versus if I'm in a situationship versus if I want to date you, and, like, so much of that also depends on you getting to know this person. But I also do think at the end of the day, like, even though I'm not necessarily looking for a relationship, my standards for someone I'm fucking and someone I'm spending any sort of time with are closer to the standards I would have for a relationship than before. Like, I think old me would have, you know, fucked anyone. You feel me? Like, anyone I was attracted to in that moment. But I think now I don't want to do that as much, you know? So, like, my standards for everything are higher. But I do think that, like, it's okay to have different standards for who you have sex with versus who you want to, like, end up with long term.
Right.
So
yeah, and I think I have been really riding this train of like figuring out what I want through being with people. Yeah. And I think that that's real and that's like impactful and that's like a great way to learn about yourself. But I think you have to also do some inner thinking as well. And I've just been doing that. I'm like, oh, well, like I loved how she did this. Like that's a new thing I like. And that's all we can do is learn from experience. But I think that the piece I'm missing and still confused about is what are my standards, not thinking about anyone else, not giving an example of anyone else. Right. Just what are they? Like, it's just a game, guys. Yeah. We can do it.
It's just a silly little game, you know?
Silly little game. We're just girls. Yeah. But yeah, do you have anything else to say, babe? Yeah, I think that about does it for this episode. I thought it was good. I think it's like a change of us just like going back and forth. And I do really like when we ask each other questions. Like when you ask me like, what's an unrealistic, you know, you felt expectation wise, whatever. So, but yeah, let us know what you guys thought about this episode because that's what really matters. So comment down below, like, share with a friend, wherever you're listening, press the follow button, subscribe, whatever there is. We would love to have you on this journey with us. And like I said, please follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We are active on both those platforms at So Wet So Dry. We post skits. Sometimes we do some sounds like thirst trap vibes. And we always post polls and an opportunity to submit a story, a question, your thoughts, literally anything. And we'll tell it right here on the podcast. Also, before I forget, My sister, if you're listening, I love you so much. She wanted me to give a shout out. She does listen exclusively on Apple Music. I love you, bitch.
Aww.
Okay.
And if you guys are listening on Spotify, we have listener support, 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month. It really helps us pay for our trips, better mics, all of that stuff, so we can deliver you guys more content. Also, rate us 5 stars
on Spotify.
If it's 3 or lower, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
But if you feel passionate,
if it's 5, do it.
Do it, please. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yep, that's it, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
We're nonchalant men. Our favorite text is WYD.
We're nonchalant men. We will always leave you.
We're nonchalant men. We're low-key soft as fuck, but we're gonna pretend that we're hard.
We're nonchalant men. We have substance abuse problems because we have social anxiety.
We're nonchalant men. That's not my girl, even though I was at her house 6 times last week.
We're nonchalant men. We won't tell you we love you, but we'll say we have love for you.
We're nonchalant men. Our toxic masculinity runs deep.
We're nonchalant men. We really care about you, but we'll never tell you.
We're nonchalant men. Gaslighting is our love language.
We're nonchalant men. We keep all of our feelings pushed way down until we explode in anger and violence.
We're nonchalant men. We always just got out of something, so we're not ready.
We're nonchalant men. We're not really the relationship type.
We're nonchalant men. We have daddy issues.
We're nonchalant men. We never really ask you too many questions.
We're nonchalant men. We're the most boring conversationalists in the world.
We're nonchalant men. We'll project all of our problems onto you.
We're nonchalant men. We're going to compare you to our last partner because we never really got over her.
We're nonchalant men. Aren't all men supposed to be like this?
We're nonchalant men. We desperately need therapy, but we're never going to go. That's for pussies.
We're nonchalant men. We'll hit you up a bunch of times, but we don't really care if you answer.
We're nonchalant men. We're really good in bed.
We're nonchalant men. We have anxious attachment styles.
We're nonchalant men. You're just doing too much.